What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, Michigan State basketball returns to the Breslin Center again for their second to last home game of the regular season against Ohio State Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS. Now, Ohio State coming into this game is 17-9 on the year, 9-6 in the Big Ten. Right, still kind of smack dab in the middle of everything, still within the thick of things, still an outside chance of competing for a top four seed in the Big Ten tournament. And yeah, right now their tourney odds got them at about a 10 seed, so really could use a couple wins here over the last couple weeks to really solidify themselves. And they do have some opportunities here. They play Michigan State, obviously, here on Sunday. They play at Iowa, they play against Purdue, Penn State, and Indiana as their schedule to close the season. So definitely some opportunities for Ohio State to boost that tournament resume. And yeah, I expect Ohio State's best shot in this one. You look back at their schedule so far this year. Earlier in the year, their first loss came on the road. Tough 1-point loss to Pitt, 67-66. They only lost to 13th ranked Illinois at the time by 8 earlier in the year, beat West Virginia by 1, lost to number 12 North Carolina by 1. A lot of close games this year, really. Lost to Nebraska, who was number 10 at the time, by 3. Lost to Washington by 7. You keep moving down, only an 8-point loss to that school down the road. A 10-point loss at Wisconsin, at a big-time 20-point win against Maryland. And then second go-around playing that school down the road, lost by 21 in that one. But yeah, just recently against 15th-ranked Virginia, lost that game by 4, and then turns around and beats number 24 Wisconsin, obviously, who Michigan State just lost to not too long ago, and won that game 86-69 at home. So coming into this game feeling good after a big-time top 25 win last time out. But before we do jump into this matchup, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We'll have more Michigan State basketball content on the channel, so just make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. So looking at Ohio State, a couple names that you'll be fairly familiar with that have been around the Ohio State program for a while. Bruce Thornton leads the way for them, obviously. Their star guard averages 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists a game, throws in a steal as well. About 40% from 3, their second highest volume 3-point shooter as well. John Mobley, another guard for them, he averages 15, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 40% from 3, and he is their highest volume 3-point shooter. So their top 2 3-point attempt takers are 2 of their highest 3-point percentage shot takers, especially when you add in volume too. You look at that. But Thornton and Mobley Jr., solid backcourt for Ohio State. Then Devin Royal, obviously a name if you go way back. I mean, I guess not way back, but back to the recruiting trail, someone that Michigan State was in. Forward for them, 14 points a game, 6 rebounds on the year. Christopher Tilley, center for them, throws in 11 points and 5 rebounds. Amari Bynum, 10 points and 5 rebounds. Brandon Knoll, 7 points, 4 rebounds. Solid overall, 81 points a game overall on the year. 35 rebounds, 15 assists, 5 steals, 3 blocks. Only turned it over about 11 times, which is really solid. 49% from the field, 78% from the free throw line. That's big. 35% from 3 overall. Looking at some of those overall numbers that we just ran through, they are 84th in assist to turnover ratio. Really solid there. You know, not overly high in assists, but they don't turn it over a lot, so that helps with that number there. And then 188th in 3-point attempts a game. They're 136 in 3-point percentage. So again, kind of middle of the pack in terms of attempts, but you know, also kind of middle of the pack, if not on the good side of middle of the pack, towards the top of 3-point percentage. We mentioned that about 35 rebounds a game. That puts them 237th in the country. But then they don't like to really get out and run a lot. They're 216th in adjusted tempo, 334th in fast break points a game at about 7 per game. So, yeah, for this one, for Ohio State, obviously, as we kind of talked about their schedule, this is definitely one coming down the stretch for them. That is a big time, could be a big time boost to their tournament resume. As we said, they're at a 9 right now. Or I'm sorry, they're at a 10 right now, and they've had some solid wins and solid performances on the year. That Wisconsin win last time out was very impressive, and especially earlier in the year they played, and through the middle part of the year they've played a lot of these games, even some of them that they've lost, played them fairly closely. So they're in a pretty good spot, but of the next 3 games, they are underdogs in. They'll be favorites in the last 2 games, including Indiana, to close the season at home. So that's where Ohio State currently sits at. Now, looking at this thing from the Michigan State side of things, obviously coming in after a much needed win over UCLA last time out, a big time 23-point win, what it ended up to be, and really kind of a feel good game. Shots went down, the season high 14 3-pointers, and just everything was working. The defense was there, the defensive intensity, and that's really what was very disappointing about kind of the streak that Michigan State was on prior. But they got back to doing what they do: defend, rebound, run, and getting that defense back up to where it had been, all season. That had made Michigan State the top 10 team in the country, like they are. Or like they had been, should I say. Still top 15 team in the country. But getting their defense back was key, especially coming down this last stretch of the season, which is very tough. We've already seen the tough part of the schedule get here. We're kind of in the middle of it right now. So for Michigan State, continuing to shore up those things that they kind of proved to struggle with during that little stretch, that like 2-week stretch that we just went through. Now, obviously, UCLA is only 1 game. Not saying we're off of whatever happened. You hope that's like been the trend of Michigan State basketball like history. Usually, end of January, beginning of February, you have this little 3-4 game, maybe 2-week skid. So hopefully that's over, because even though that Rutgers game was a win, you needed overtime to do that. You needed to come back to do that, get to overtime, and then that's where you started the going 1 for 3 over the next 4 games really started. But the struggles really started with Rutgers, went all the way through Wisconsin. Even though you got that Illinois win, that was kind of the outlier in that stretch. So it was kind of sporadic through that. Wasn't just direct through struggle every single time. That nice Illinois win in there. But for Michigan State, as we said, kind of probably still on the outside, for sure, on the outside looking in terms of a Big Ten title. That school down the road, 15-1, so 4 games left. Michigan State after Saturday's game, or after Sunday's game, should I say, will have 4 games left as well. Currently sitting 3.5 back, currently in a tie with Nebraska. So for Michigan State, yes, you would love to get some help and be competing for a shot at a Big Ten title that last game of the season. But, if that is out of reach, we said, the next kind of step on that is making sure you secure a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament, and that you don't have to start playing till Friday. You do that, that'll also help boost your tournament seeding as well. Michigan State been, 2, 3, 4, kind of in that range. Still currently really see them at a 4 on most stuff that I have seen. Bart Torvik currently has them at around a 4 as well. So that's kind of where they're at. But as I kind of mentioned in the recap, or it might have been the preview for the UCLA game, but if things kind of kept going bad, it might have been the preview, but talking about if things kind of kept going bad, how they had went the last, 2 weeks or so, hey, you've been on that 2 to 4 line. I could see things. I don't think they drop below a 6 or so, but if things went really bad, it could, it can get sketchy, and you can set yourself up into some bad situations come Selection Sunday, and with your draw. So that's kind of what you're playing for now, and just fine tuning those things. Making sure the defense is what we've seen against UCLA and gets back to that. Defending, rebound, running, cleaning up the turnovers, which is something that kind of plagued Michigan State a little bit this season, but they've been able to clean it up for the most part. That's a positive, but then just continuing to gain that confidence of knocking shots down. Because if this team knocks shots down, I think that boosts them back up to a top 7-8 team in the country, like they, had been for, a good amount of this season. And I think if this team's hitting shots and defending the way that they can defend, they can still beat anyone in this country. But for this specific matchup, obviously, your guards and wings are going to have to defend. So for Ohio State, like on the defensive side of things, when you're looking for Michigan State things to attack, they defend the 3-point line well. The 2-point basket, should I say, 2-point percentage, kind of middle of the pack. Maybe on the other side of middle of the pack, should I say? But I mean, overall for Michigan State, like if you can string together 2 straight solid shooting games, even though Ohio State defends the 3 well, if you can string together 2 straight solid 3-point shooting games, that will be big, especially going in, looking a little bit ahead to Thursday's matchup at Mackey, especially seeing what they did to Indiana on Friday night. You're going to need everything rolling going into that game. And if you can continue to build that confidence with guys knocking down shots, not saying you need to go out there and hit 14 threes every single game. That's not going to happen. But if you can continue to knock down, a solid amount, a solid percentage to, then that can kind of keep boosting that confidence. And then the bigs have, been good for the first half, a little more than half of the season. But since that West Coast trip, had kind of struggled. So it was good to see them have a good outing against UCLA, and hoping with that 2-point percentage defense from Ohio State that they can kind of take advantage of that as well. If we can see Jackson Kohler start to knock down that pick and pop more, then more consistently like he had been for the first half or so of the season, then that'll be big coming down this last stretch here for Michigan State. But anyway, we'll look at Bart Torvik. Bart Torvik has Ohio State as the number 36 team in the country. They're 20th in adjusted efficiency offense, 70th adjusted efficiency defense. Now for Michigan State, currently Bart Torvik has them at number 17 in the country. Currently, they are ranked number 15 in the AP poll, 43rd adjusted efficiency offense, 10th adjusted efficiency defense. And Bart Torvik has this as a 76-68 Michigan State win. So this is another big one, a chance to help keep yourself at pace to secure a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament in this one, in a big time home matchup and second to last home game of the season here for Michigan State. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. We'll be back with a recap after the game. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.